Hello and welcome this March 5th, 2022. It is Saturday and welcome to another episode of Misfits of the Galaxy. I am your host, Gray. This is a video blog series or vlog where I go about the process of putting together a campaign for my podcast group, the Isle of Misfit Roles. If you haven't heard of us before, I'll post links down below. It's a very exciting time for us right now as we have started live streaming season 2 on Twitch. If you want to jump into it, I know that Mike, our DM, as well as two of the other players, Adam and Jake, have put together a quick recap for people, so that in case they don't want to listen to the first season, although I strongly recommend that you do. And so, if you want to see this ugly mug, as well as my fellow players, react in real time to the events unfolding in the second season, we will be live streaming every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time till about 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'd love for you to jump in and listen to us as we go through our adventures in Vertes. Anyways, so this is the 10th episode or 10th vlog of Misfits of the Galaxy, so I'm kind of super stoked because, I started this project in hopes of putting together a campaign for my fellow players, but as well as sort of a New Year's resolution to do this. So I managed to stick with it all the way to March. That lasted a lot longer than most people's New Year's resolutions, at least in my experience. Anyways, so today I want to talk about another race. And the reason I'm going to talk about another race today, I know some of you might be a bit bored about listening to all these species and what have you in Misfits of the Galaxy, but I came up with an idea as to how to start the campaign when I go to run it, and I really liked it. But in order to get it, I need to kind of put all the major players in place. And the major players, of course, are the Aveira Theocracy, as well as the Elven Empire. But there's a third party involved, and they are the Nautilids. So I've never mentioned the Nautilids before, so I'll kind of try to start right now. So the Nautilids remind me an awful lot of the Vorlons from Babylon 5, if anyone knows what I'm talking about. They are almost never seen outside of their encounter suits that protect them. They come from a world called Poseidon that does not exist anymore. Poseidon had a very unique environment. It was almost completely ocean, but there were certain gases and chemicals in the ocean that allowed this species called the Nautilids to thrive. And the actual nautilid species itself can grow to these gigantic leviathan style proportions. They are a long-lived ancient race that is kind of nearing the end of their civilization. Thus far, they have yet to be able to find a world suited for them with what they call the Poseidon solution, which is a chemical and gas mixture in water, which is similar to their home world. Since their home world is destroyed, they have been drifters and travelers for the most part, but they are wise and ancient beyond most understanding, and even the elves respect their wisdom. Their technology is I'd say light years ahead of the other species, but as I said, they are slowly dying out. They are amphibious in nature, but they prefer water naturally because while they can breathe air, it dries them out and it makes them feel uncomfortable and everything else. Additionally, without the Poseidon solution, they their growth is stunted, as well as their I guess you call it a reproduction cycle. So the standard Nautilid on Poseidon could, like I said, could grow to leviathan proportions, could easily grow hundreds of feet long and what have you, and be thriving and have multiple offspring and the like. However, uh, because the Nautilid solution is limited to the ships that they fly in and what have you at the moment, or travel space in, as well as their encounter suits, they haven't really, like I said, their growth has been stunted. They are only 8-9 feet long at best. Best of times, and because they're, like I said, their growth is stunted, like I said, their reproduction cycle is stunted, so they're not having offspring, and so they're slowly dying out. While they can live centuries, the reality of the matter is that eventually they will all grow old, and they will leave the verse, in a manner of speaking. So the Nautilids, wise, ancient, powerful race, slowly dying out, who take a very neutral standpoint in most conflicts in the universe. They know their technology is more advanced than most other races, and so they try to keep outside of those conflicts because they are, not only are they so few in number, but they realize it's like it's like bullying people effectively, where it's they have rocks, you have high caliber guns. It's a sort of deal. Um, so they have they have tried to colonize several worlds, and they're in the process of trying to terraform them. Ideally, they pick ocean worlds, and they've been trying various magitech and magical methods, even using some divine magic to alter the environment to similar to their homeworld, but thus far, all attempts have failed. There's something clearly missing in their approach, and they don't know what it is. So many of them become explorers and astronavigators and the like, hoping to find a world out there that is got similar, like almost identical environmental conditions to Poseidon, because like I said, thus far, terraforming attempts have not worked out for them. So mechanically, they are really strong because they are not just because they are like 8 feet long and what have you, because they're in these massive environmental suits that almost look like Big Daddies from Bioshock. They can be truly terrifying to see this lumbering form making its way down a hall. However, as I said before, they're wise and often gentle, and they're extremely intelligent as well. Each one of their environmental suits is it has got like a universal translator built into it. So, like, while their language is more like almost like whale song, it easily translates out of their out of their suit using their universal translator. Additionally, they can communicate with everybody because they have this magitech built into their suits. This makes them really good diplomats, especially with the fact that they try to remain neutral in all conflicts. Some of them are more militaristic than others. However, they are few and far between. And overall, they are. I'd like to say they're like Switzerland. I like using real world and media references and comparisons on things for this. So my idea, because this won't be too much of a spoiler, because this is just the idea that I'm tossing, is based off of a one shot that I ran for I think it was Jake, his fiance Jenny, and let's see here, Adam was there. I don't know if Erica was there at the time. I know Mike was not. That's why we did the one shot, but it was a Star Wars one shot, and I during the Star Wars one shot, like they got to play stuff like the Sith and the and Jedi and what have you, and it was taking place during the Old Republic and like during the Knights of the Old Republic era, and uh, they were on the aquatic world. Oh, I'm just trying to remember the name of it off the top of my head. I really can't. Oh, Manan, right? That was it. And so I think that's the name of the planet. It was where the Bacta solution or Bacta was harvested and what have you. So this on that water world, the just like the Nautilids in my idea, the Selkath are a very have a neutral position in the war between the Republic and the Sith Empire. So very similar. Elf Empire, Ave-Ra Theocracy, Nautilids, and so they've been delegations from both sides have been invited to in a in the Old Republic. It was they're trying to present their case to get more back to sent to their side or exclusive rights. In this case, it is the Nautilids have summoned both delegations in hopes of having some sort of like negotiating some sort of peace because tension has been rising and skirmishes have been breaking out on outpost worlds between the Ave-Ra and the Elven Empire, and it's they figure it's just a matter like the galaxy figures it's just a matter of time before these two superpowers effectively uh, end up going to war again, and a lot of species and civilizations are afraid that in this particular instance this might be the war to end all wars. Like while there have been border skirmishes in the past, the Elven Empire and the Ave-Ra Theocracy have been in a rather long Cold War that has lasted several centuries at this point. So there's a lot of concern of what would happen if these two superpowers went to war again. The last war did not end well, and like there are still systems that are recovering, are going through a recovery process, and there are still scars and what have you, and the reverberations throughout the galaxy of those events can still be felt throughout pretty much everywhere. So I think that's a good place to start, and we can have some sort of grand conspiracy going on. Maybe start them at third level. I'm not sure. I'm actually really tempted to like have them all play delegates in sort of like a prologue episode and see how that plans out, because that would be really fun too. We'll see. We'll see. I got some ideas percolating, and that's why I kind of needed the Nautilids to be the Nautilids to be explained to some extent or another. This isn't really, like I said before, it's not a spoiler. I don't mind if they listen to this. They might be able to give me some input on how to start this thing, this shindig. Because the reality is, I would give them this information before we started the campaign anyways, so that they could make characters with some, at least, idea as to what's going to go on. Because one of the things that always bothered me about some D&D campaigns and that is if the DM doesn't tell you what's going to go on, if the DM just says, okay, just make a character. Well, if it's a game of courtly intrigue and you come to the table with like a lizard folk barbarian, you're going to run into a lot of problems, and you're going to be sitting there twiddling your thumbs for most of it. Another thing is if it's a combat-heavy campaign and you play a diplomatic character, it's like you're going to end up sitting on the sidelines wondering what you're supposed to do. Like city-based rogues in a wilderness setting, like range wilderness scouts in a city setting. These are problems. They can be real interesting characters to play if you know what you're getting yourself into. But the reality of the matter is, if you don't know this, you don't have this information, and you make those characters, it can definitely leave a sour taste in your mouth and make it a less than enjoyable experience. And that's what we're all here for in the end, is to have fun playing the game. Anyways, I've rambled a bit. It's about the 15-minute mark, thereabouts at this point. This is a shorter video, thankfully. Anyways, I think I'll get back into the one of the other topics next week, maybe one of the factions. Although I do want to do an episode on weapons and armor and what have you. I'm still working on details on those things. I know, hopefully I'll have something for you next week about that stuff. As I said before, I'd love to hear input from people about what they want to hear about the setting and what have you. I use a lot of material from Dark Matter by Mage Hand Press. I'll put the link down below to that. But I try to put my own stuff and my own spin into things. And whether you're a player, a DM, or just somebody who's interested in listening to a good story, I'd love to hear what you want to see in it, because some of the best ideas I have ever run with in a campaign were ones that were inspired by the suggestion of someone else, and I'm eternally grateful for what they provided me with. Anyways, till next week, may all your 20s be a critical, and take care.